third problem students have is the WH clause. In English, we have the following WH words: who, what, when, where, why, how, which, and whether. Now, when we use these words to form clauses, we have two different patterns. I can't explain why they did that, so we have a WH word, why, plus a subject and a verb. Or we have I don't know what to do, a WH word, what, with an infinitive or to infinitive. The following common academic verbs can be used with a WH clause: arrange, calculate, check, choose, debate, determine, discover, discuss, establish, find out, forget, guess, imagine, know, learn, notice, plan, realize, remember, say, see, talk about, think about, understand, and wonder. So there's quite a lot of words you can use with the WH clause. Now, how do you use WH clauses? Well, there's a couple of rules. Rule number 1, you can use a to infinitive with all WH words except why. Rule number 2, if you add a subject to a WH clause, no to infinitive. Rule number 3, some verbs must have an object before a WH clause. I told him how to get here. We informed the police where and when the robbery was to take place. So with the verb to tell, to inform, you can't say I told how to get here, and you can't say we informed where and when the robbery was to take place. You need an object there in front of the WH clause or behind the verb, to tell and to inform. So the following common academic verbs need an object before a WH clause: advise, inform, instruct, remind, teach, tell, and warn. And the two verbs ask and show often, but not always. And so those are the verbs that need an object before a WH clause. Now, the use of whether. It's a problem that German students have. They couldn't decide whether to resit the exam. I don't know whether Brian is at home or not. I didn't know whether Jim went home after the party. I didn't know that Jim went home after the party. Now, we use whether to talk or think about two possibilities, choices, outcomes, or to express uncertainty. So in the sentence, I didn't know whether Jim went home after the party, you're expressing an uncertainty, and I'm not really sure. I couldn't decide whether to resit the exam. I don't know whether Brian is at home or not. It can be an uncertainty, but it can also be two possibilities. Is Brian at home or is Brian not at home? I don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Whether can usually be followed immediately by an or not. I don't know whether or not Brian is at home. You can't say, I don't know if Brian is at home, or you can say, I don't know if Brian is at home, but you can't say, I don't know if or not Brian is at home. You can't use an or not immediately after an if. Now, verbs with whether. These following verbs use a whether plus a to infinitive: choose, consider, debate, decide, determine, discuss, know in questions and negatives, and wonder. The following verbs use not a to infinitive, but a subject and a verb: ask, conclude, explain, imagine, realize, speculate, and think. So let's take a look at some sample sentences. You really should consider whether to take the job. Consider whether plus infinitive. I can't choose whether to go home or go for another drink. Once again, plus the to infinitive. Let's discuss first whether to take the subway or the bus. However, these sentences, you need a subject and a verb. It's useless to speculate whether he committed the crime or not. Ask him whether he wants to go home or go for another drink. Right? You can't say ask him whether to go home or go for another drink. That doesn't work. So that's how you use whether in a sentence, and that's how you use the WH clauses.